Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about sugar addiction. I'm going to talk to you about my sugar addiction and how I realized that I had it, how it contributed to me having a heart attack at 44 years old. And I'm going to tell you about some of the things that I've seen change in my life because of getting rid of sugar. Some people can have a little bit of alcohol or one beer or one drink and stop. I personally can have a sip of alcohol or two or three and then push the drink away. It's not a big deal to me. But other people are addicted to it and they cannot have one sip and they cannot have one drink. If they do, they spiral into complete obsession, and that's because they are addicted to alcohol. And there is a predisposition to that. I truly think after my whole life of going through this with sugar, and when I talk about sugar in this video, I am talking about processed sugar. I'm not talking about fruits or honey or things like that. Processed sugar, baked goods, chocolate, things like that. I think it's the same with sugar. I think you can be predispositioned to have an addiction to processed sugar more than other people. And I'm going to tell you why I think that's true. When I was a kid, I remember going over to my cousin's house, and after church, we would have lunch, and they would allow us to have 2 maple cookies. You know, those maple cookies with the cream in the middle. I still remember what their cookie jar looked like. It was a green ceramic owl. And later in the afternoon, after everybody was relaxing, watching a movie, whatever, I would sneak back into the kitchen and take more cookies, and I would go into the bathroom and I would eat them, and it was like this relief as I ate them. It was like an obsession before I ate them and a relief after. And of course, I was ashamed and hiding it. I was probably 8 or 9 years old when this would happen, and it happened probably younger and older because I did it more than once. But to me, that shows that I was predispositioned to have a sugar addiction. And if not predispositioned, I was more inclined towards sugar addiction than other people. I could never understand how someone could have a couple bites of a dessert and then push it away. That was absurd to me. Or have it one day, not have it the next, just kind of, there's a cake in the fridge or there's ice cream in the freezer and you're not eating it. I could never understand that. And that is because I truly believe I have been addicted to sugar. And I noticed a pattern with myself. It was all or nothing. If I decided to cut out processed sugar from my diet, I felt in control. I felt like, oh yeah, I can do this. I feel really good. And I'll tell you about the things that changed when I cut out sugar. But if I was eating sugar, I was out of control. There was no happy medium. It was all or nothing. And this is another factor and symptom in what I believe is sugar addiction. And I know I'm not the only person. Then I heard about this program that talked about how some people are addicted to sugar the same way that some people are addicted to alcohol or drugs. It lights up the exact same dopamine pleasure center in your brain as alcohol or drugs do to someone addicted to those. And it made so much sense to me. Everything they said, I was like, wow, that's me. And then they said, and you have to deal with it the same way an alcoholic has to deal with alcohol, by cutting it completely out of your life forever. You can't have, as an alcoholic, one Sunday or one day a month where you drink and then stop the next day. That sounds absurd to us, right? Because it is accepted that complete abstinence from alcohol makes sense for an alcoholic. But I believe it's exactly the same thing with processed sugar for some people, and I do believe that I am one of them. These videos also talked about how you can constantly say no, and then the one time you say yes to eating that sugar, then your brain is like, oh, I can just ask 19,000 times, and on the 19,001 time I ask for the sugar, they'll give me it. They'll satisfy that craving. And so it knows to keep asking, and it'll keep bugging you and bugging you and bugging you all the time because it knows at some point you'll give in. This is another reason why abstaining completely from it is key. And this is why cheat days don't work for some people, because it's so impossible to get back on track the next day for those people that are inclined to the addiction. This got me thinking about the cycles in my life with sugar, where a lot of times in the spring, for some reason, probably because it's nice outside, the days are longer, I could go out and walk, I could be in the sun, because I'm in Canada, so the winters are very dark and cold, and we sort of hibernate a lot here. I would cut out processed sugar, and then I would go all summer, all fall, feeling so good. And not only feeling good, but losing weight. Weight is a factor in this. And so it would be fantastic. Even 2 years ago, I lost 50 pounds over the spring, into the summer, into the fall, because I cut out processed sugar. And then I thought, okay, my birthday, which is in December, I will just eat a little bit. I'll have some cake on my birthday. And if I go to some Christmas parties, I'll just have some sugary stuff there. And I will have sugar on Christmas Day because it's Christmas Day. And then I will stop. So that's what I would tell myself. And then as soon as Christmas was over, guess what? I couldn't stop. All winter long, I would be like, okay, I'm going to start on Monday. And all winter long, I would buy a tub of ice cream, and in 2 days it was gone. I would buy those quality street chocolates, and in a few days it was gone. And I was obsessed. I thought about it all the time. Even if I was out, I would think, I can't wait to get home and have some ice cream. It was like bombarding my thoughts. And these cycles and patterns and habits are very similar to what I've heard alcoholics talk about with the obsession over that thing. And it's because it lights up dopamine in your brain, and it's so good that you just want more and more. So I started thinking about those cycles and how I would gain half the weight back that I had already lost. And it took me all winter to finally say in the spring again, okay, I can finally get the willpower to cut this out again. And I would cut it out again, and I'd go through that cycle over and over and over, probably dozens of times over my life so far. And then I had a heart attack 2 months ago, and man, well, that shook me to my core. And I thought, okay, well, this is a good time to cut out processed sugar. And I thought, even then, I'll just have it on my birthday, and I'll just have it on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then the more I thought, because I had a lot of time to sit around and think while I was healing, which I still am, I can't do that. I've realized my addiction, and I have come to terms with it, that I can't ever have it again. Ever. I just can't, because I can't stop when I do. Anything that becomes obsessive in your brain, it's an addiction. And I don't ever want to have to cut it out again, because that process is so hard, and your body goes through a detox, and your brain still thinks about it all the time. And now I'm at this place where I don't think about it. So I've been off processed sugar for 2 full months. And I want to tell you a few of the amazing things that have happened. First of all is my mood. My mood is so steady. Like, I don't have those ups and downs of blood sugar spikes and crashes. I don't have that anymore. I generally feel pretty much the same all day long now. And that is huge, because I used to feel like I would get so angry about nothing. And I couldn't control it. And I know that there's been people in my past who have had to deal with that with me. And I'm sorry for that. I do know that that was because of my blood sugar. It wasn't really me. And eating sugar is not worth that to me anymore. The second thing that happened is I had some dark patches of skin, my inner thighs, my armpits, and those have lessened. They have lightened a lot. Now they're not completely gone. I'm only 2 months into this now, but man, what a difference. And I have read recently that one of the signs of insulin resistance is dark patches in those places. And so I'm obviously becoming more insulin sensitive, which is good, than insulin resistant like I was before. And one of the major factors in showing that is my skin lightening. I also don't think about food all the time anymore. When I'm out, the only thing I think about food is, oh, I should bring something so that if I'm gone a really long time, I don't get starving and have to buy something, because I'm just making all my food at home. All my food is whole foods, and I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to buy something from somewhere. So that's kind of the only food thoughts I have, or planning like, oh, what should I have for dinner tonight? I need to make sure that I thaw some chicken or thaw some beef or whatever so that it's prepared. And that's kind of the food thoughts that I have. I still enjoy what I'm eating, but I don't feel obsessed about it. And I'm so satiated and satisfied all the time now with enough protein and fats, like good fats, that it's actually like sometimes I have to make myself eat, because for a while I actually wasn't even eating enough because I'm so satisfied. But you obviously don't want to go too far in the other direction either. I also have noticed that I'm more present in conversations and in friendships and things like that, because I'm not in the back of my mind thinking about dessert or food. I don't think people who've never been really addicted to something understand how much it can overtake your thoughts. And so that's why I realized it was an addiction and it was time to get rid of it. So that's where I am with sugar addiction. That's where I am with cutting it out forever. It seems like such a crazy idea, but man, I never want to go through the withdrawal again. I never want to go through gaining weight again because I can't get a hold of myself, or the shame or feeling obsessed with it. It's not worth it anymore. It's really not worth it. I've tasted every sugar there is to taste, and it hasn't done good things for my life. So I forgive myself for not doing it before, but it's time. Now, I would love to hear if any of this resonates with you. Please comment on the video if it does, or if you've ever considered the fact that you might have a sugar addiction, or if any of the things about the cycles and patterns that I was in resonate with you and you feel the same way. And if I can help in any way, I will. Even if this helps one person cut out sugar and stop the cycle, then it makes me happy. But if I can help 1,000 people, that'd be better. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and for being present. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to be here. Much love. My name is Andrea Gal, and I'm so happy you're here. Bye.